What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY in the overall market. I'm going to be breaking down why Tesla's at critical support right now and some big news involving BMW and Tesla, not to mention a big catalyst for tomorrow. But just note that I'm not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And don't forget to smash the like button. Anyways, for Tesla, we're testing this critical support right over here. Notice that when we hit this white trend line right over here, we bounced off this 1, 2, 3 times historically. So now the question is, will Tesla get a bounce here? If we lose this trend line, that's not the end of the world. We need to get two closes below that for this thing to really start dipping. If we close below this, there's still hope for it to try to rebound. But like I said before, if we end up getting like two closes below this, if we hold below this for at least 4 hours, there is going to be a risk of us dipping all the way down to much lower levels. So Tesla's at critical support right now. I'll break down more information about this and SPY in just a couple of minutes. But I want to talk about something else that's very important. Tomorrow is going to be Friday, guys, 30 minutes after the market opens. As a reminder, we have Jerome Powell giving a speech, and his speech could affect the whole markets. As the market is declining, will Jerome Powell's speech cause a small bounce, or will we see a bigger rug pull? Get ready, guys. It's going to be very, very important. So I want to make that very clear so that you guys have like a heads up about that. You guys have a very, very nice in advance warning about that. Jerome Powell's speech is going to be very impactful for the markets. It's going to be happening tomorrow, so be ready for that. And it may give us more insights on interest rates, how fast the Fed may cut rates, how far they could cut rates. Some information could come out about that. Right now, the markets thinks that there is a 75% chance to get a 25 basis points cut, and it's at about 24.5% chance for that 50 basis point cut. For now, we're expecting a cut, but to what extent we're going to be finding out more information about that. As far as Tesla goes, we have some good news and also some negative news that came out from the media. Tesla is maintaining an overweight rating, according to Piper Sandler. So another group of analysts are saying that Tesla has a $300 price target. They're bullish on it because of its FSD, and also they're very, very excited about what they're going to be announcing during the big event. They also mentioned that the mega packs are going to be another big catalyst for the company, and the event for the robotaxi is going to be huge for the company too. So very, very good news. I'm very excited for that, at least for the long term. But for the short term, Tesla's continuing to dip. We did get some negative news, at least from the media. The media is saying that BMW has topped Tesla in EV sales for the first time, but they're not really specifying on why on earth that is and what on earth is the period. So this is completely normal, guys. There's going to be periods where some companies surpass Tesla sales in one specific region, right? In China, that could happen. That could happen in Europe. It's completely fine. It's not the end of the world because once you see the data, you'll understand why I'm not really worried about this. So one thing you have to remember is that I don't really care too much about if Tesla's the number one EV in the planet, if they get the most sales. I don't really care about that. I care more about Tesla growing and comparing its own sales with its own past, right? So we've seen astonishing growth on Tesla in the past. Let's hope that that holds up. But let me just make this very clear that according to the European data, we actually saw EV sales fall 6% year over year in July of 2024. Okay. And in Europe, BMW actually took the lead for just 1 month in July. They basically got about 14,869 sales, up 35%. Tesla was up to about 14,500. So the entire sector is declining. The entire EV sector is declining in Europe. But just in Europe, BMW did surpass Tesla to some small extent for just the month of July. Okay, just for 1 month. Does that mean BMW is better? No, it doesn't necessarily mean that because when you look at the data, BMW actually sold 180,000 EVs all over the world, according to the data, for the first half of 2000, excuse me, the first half of 2024. That's very, very important. Tesla did 830,000 EVs all over the world for the first half of 2024. So Tesla has a much higher percentage of the share. Tesla has more than 4 times the sales for the entire year so far. So yes, overall Tesla is still a lot bigger. I'm not saying this to be rude to BMW. I actually appreciate them. I think they have a great business. They have great buyers out there, and I wish the best for them. But I just want to say that the media loves to nitpick little moments to scream about. We don't see them screaming that Tesla has the best sales in all of Europe or anything else like that. I don't really see too many headlines about it or anything else like that. I just tend to hear that this is all that's going on right now. That in this specific region, BMW is doing better. And of course, the media wants to scream about that. So just know it's just for the month of July. BMW did get more sales than Tesla in just Europe. That does not include the entire globe. And then if you look at the entire year, Tesla is still doing more than 4 times the sales. So to me, it just doesn't make sense to be trying to compare them all the time. I know the media just loves to do that. So, anyways, enough about all this news about BMW, all this news about the market. Let's now focus more on what's happening with a lot of the different charts out there, because that's going to be pivotal for the way things end up continuing to move. So, looking at how we're looking, Tesla is barely at this support. We're going to be watching to see if we could hold this support or not. If we end up losing the support, we're going to be looking at this 212 area on Tesla. This is going to be our 4-hour 200 EMA as the next support. If we close below this trend line, there's going to be a risk of Tesla dipping even lower to these supports, like at 208 and even at 202. So there's going to be a bigger drop coming to Tesla if this trend line breaks, but we need two closes below this for confirmation. If we try to rebound, our target's going to be 217 or 20 EMA, and also the resistance up there. So there's some resistance at 215, also 217 will be stronger, followed by 220. Tesla's looking more bearish. We are at risk of dipping lower, and we're barely holding this support, so watch that very carefully. As far as other tickers like SPY go, I just want to mention that SPY is barely at support right now. Like I mentioned in my earlier videos, the critical support on SPY is at this 556 area. We have resistance at 558 and then 560, and 556 is going to be our support. If we lose this, we could be dipping all the way down towards 553. So watch that 556 area, see if we hold in this range. It doesn't have to be perfect, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but very, very roughly around 556 if we hold around there. This may try to shuffle. Jerome Powell is going to be a big catalyst for tomorrow, so we'll see if that causes a little bounce or not. And even if we do get a small bounce, just listen to this carefully. That does not mean we're bullish, because now we're breaking structure right here. We're breaking this low. So as far as SPY goes, we'll be watching to see if there is some kind of bounce. Will we rebound like this and then start dipping lower to form a lower high? Or do we just barely make any much of a bounce and we just continue to dip from here into these lower levels? We'll be watching to see what the move ends up being. But we still have to lose 556 for confirmation of a bigger drop. And we'll see what the move ends up being with Jerome Powell's speech. But for now, the technicals do look more bearish as we're losing this low here. And this could be a trend reversal that looks very probable so far. Nvidia, I called out 130. I said to watch to see if you reject. If that rejects, we're going down to 124. That's exactly where Nvidia is. We called this move almost exactly. Look at 126 as resistance and 124 as support. If we lose that, we'll be dipping all the way down, in my opinion, towards the 122 area. And if that breaks, 120 is coming. So watch those supports. Nvidia is looking more bearish with the bearish divergence, and we're seeing some weakness developing on the charts. So just want to call that out. For Bitcoin, we've dipped a bit. We're barely holding 60,000 support. We're kind of shuffling between 60,000 and 60,500. So I expect this to shuffle a bit, but there is a risk of us dipping to 59,700. For ES, I know a lot of people are interested in this. We're barely at 5,600 as our resistance. We actually lost this support right here. So it's not looking too good. Look at resistance at 5,600, 5,615. And if that breaks, we're going back up to at least the 5,640s. If we don't hold above 5,600, we're at risk of dipping all the way down, in my opinion, towards we have this first support at 5580, and if that breaks, 5558 is coming. So there's going to be a big decline. So watch to see how we end up reacting to support. For the QQQ, we're losing support around 477. Here are the levels I had marked up right over here. So 477 is the first area that's worth mentioning, because that's where our 20 EMA happens to be. Breakdown, we're going down to 475. If that fails, we're easily coming down to at least, I would say, the 473.25 area. And then if that breaks, we're going to be dipping to our 50 EMA all the way down to about like 468, 469, around there, if we end up losing that 473 area. Our resistance is currently at 477. That's going to be a key level. And if that breaks, we're going back up to 480 or almost 480. We are still favoring downsides, so the QQQ looks more bearish, so just be very mindful of that. For Aapl, I said we had a range. If we lost support, we'd be looking for the next one below. So we were stuck within this very, very tight range between 226 and 228. And what happened was Aapl got a rejection. I said if we lost 226, we could be dipping all the way down to 223.8. That's almost exactly where we dropped to. So now look at resistance at 225.25 and 226. Look at support at 223.8. If we lose that, we're going down to 222.5. Apple's looking more bearish, so just be careful, but we are still holding support at 223.8. For the Russell 2000, IWM called out 213. That's exactly where we dipped to. We have a range now at 213 to 216. We pumped to about 216 to 217, that range, which is what I called out before we got the rejection. And now we're just shuffling right over here in the 214s. We're going to likely continue to do so until we see a big reaction after Jerome Powell's speech. So we're just range bound on the Russell for now, but then watch and see what kind of reaction we get. For Coinbase, we're looking more bearish right now. We're looking at this 199 support, 199 to 200 support. If we lose that range, I think we're going down to 197, and we have resistance at 201 and then 202.5. Those are the key EMAs up here. So we're just shuffling, but there is a risk of downside. Amazon went down to my price target. I called out 177 if we lost 179, and that's where we ended up going to. If we don't hold above 177, we're at risk of coming down to 175, and we're losing this trend line of support. So that's a big break on Amazon. If we close below that for 2 straight days, we may be dipping much lower to the 172 area. So it looks a little bit more bearish unless we reclaim 180. For Meta, we formed a bearish divergence. I mentioned to everyone this might reject, so be careful. We have 537 as resistance and support at 530. If we lose 530, there's going to be a big drop to 524. This is looking like it's going to dip lower, so look for a test of 530 again. For Microsoft, we called downside. I said that we're going to be looking at 425 as resistance. If we broke this, we turn bullish. If it rejects, there's going to be a big dip coming. And lo and behold, there is your dip. We are going to be testing 418 as our resistance, and our support is currently around 414. We are favoring the downside right now. We could be dipping down to where this wick is at 412. Looks more bearish to me. And then we're exactly where I said Google would go. I called out 166. Alphabet/Google is right there. Bearish divergence rejection. We also are testing the breakouts. So 166 is a very, very strong support. If we lose 166, we're dipping back down to 164. If we hold this, we could bounce to 168. We are favoring downside. With that being said, the VIX is breaking out right now. So the VIX is actually doing a great job. We're going to be looking at resistance around 17.8. So the VIX is looking bullish. If we break 17.88, we continue to push, and that's bearish for the markets. And the market is remaining weak right now. So SPY has critical support at 556. We'll see how well we hold around there. If that breaks, there's going to be more downside. And just remember, the next catalyst for the market is going to be Jerome Powell's speech. He's going to be speaking tomorrow at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll talk more about that in my later video. But I just want to give you guys a very, very early heads up about that, just so that you guys are prepared. Anyways, for Tesla, we're barely at support. We'll see how well Tesla holds up. It's a matter of patience. There is a risk of it dipping lower as it's looking weaker, but just watch your levels and we'll see how things go. Thank you for listening, guys. I really appreciate you guys so much for your attentions, and I'll see you guys very soon in the next one in just a couple of hours. Thank you and peace out.